Welcome back. I'm your host at Navy Legends, and I want to begin this one with a category of vessel that rarely appears in the tactical analysis of modern naval warfare, despite being indispensable to every U.S. military operation in the world: the dry cargo ship. The USNS Matthew Perry is a Lewis and Clark class dry cargo and ammunition ship, 689 feet long, 41,000 tons fully loaded, operated by the Military Sealift Command with a civilian crew of 123 mariners. She carries ammunition, provisions, repair parts, and expendable stores. She has no weapons. She has no active defensive systems. She is not an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer capable of generating 120 interceptors from a VLS magazine. She is a vessel of hollow steel and critical cargo, whose presence in a theater of operations is the logistical foundation upon which every combat capability the U.S. Navy projects depends. Without the Matthew Perry and ships like her, the Arleigh Burke's VLS cells run dry. The carrier's air wing runs out of AIM-120S. The amphibious Ready Group's Marines run out of 155mm shells. The Matthew Perry is the reason every combatant ship in the region can fight for more than 72 hours. And on June 9th, 2028, the IRGC Naval Force demonstrated that they understood that calculus precisely. The date is June 9th, 2028. The time is 3:31 local. The northern Arabian Sea, approximately 280 nautical miles south-southeast of the Strait of Hormuz. The USNS Matthew Perry, TAKE-9, is transiting northwest, bound for the logistics rendezvous position 190 nautical miles east of Bahrain, where she is scheduled to conduct a replenishment at sea with Carrier Strike Group 8 at 1400 local. She is making 20 knots. She carries 6,200 tons of general cargo and 1,800 tons of ammunition, including SM-6 Block YB reload canisters, ESSM reload cells, and Mk-54 lightweight torpedo reloads. The precision munitions that the Matthew Perry's CSG-8 customers have been expending in the sustained operations of the previous 11 weeks. Her civilian master has been briefed on the elevated threat environment. His ship has no means of responding to it. The nearest U.S. Navy combatant is the USS Cole, DDG-67, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, operating 88 nautical miles to the northwest on a parallel transit track. The Cole had been assigned as the Matthew Perry's escort for this transit leg, but had fallen behind by 88 nautical miles due to an engineering casualty that had reduced her to 14 knots for 4 hours before the casualty was rectified. She is now making 30 knots to close the distance. She will reach the Matthew Perry's position in approximately 2 hours and 56 minutes at current closing speed. 2 hours and 56 minutes. The IRGC Naval Forces Operational Planning Staff had known about the Matthew Perry's transit schedule for 41 hours, not from penetration of U.S. classified communications, from open source. Military Sealift Command's AIS tracker showed the Matthew Perry's departure from Diego Garcia, her course, her speed, and her projected position with sufficient precision that any competent maritime operations staff could compute her rendezvous window with Carrier Strike Group 8. The IRGC had computed it. They had also computed the Cole's separation from the Matthew Perry, identified from the divergence between the two vessels' AIS tracks that had appeared during the Cole's engineering casualty period. The 88 nautical mile gap was visible to anyone with access to commercial vessel tracking. The IRGC had access to commercial vessel tracking. The operation was designated internally as Exercise Hamza and had been in final preparation for 31 hours. Its objective was not the USS Cole. The Cole had SM-2, ESSM, a full VLS, a 5-inch gun, and a Phalanx C IWS. Engaging her directly would produce a defensive response that the IRGC had no guarantee of overcoming before the Cole reached the Matthew Perry. The objective was the cargo. 6,200 tons of general stores, and 1,800 tons of precision munitions en route to a carrier strike group that had been consuming them at an accelerated rate. A logistics ship is not defended from the inside. It is defended by the warships around it. The IRGC's operation was built around the 88 nautical mile window of time before the coal arrived. They had approximately 178 minutes. They needed less than 30. At 3:31:04, 2 Soumar-M cruise missiles were launched from mobile launchers in Hormozgan province, bearing 031 degrees from the Matthew Perry's current position, at a range of approximately 320 kilometers. The Soumar-M cruise missiles had been programmed with an approach route that exploited the same Abu Musa Island radar shadow that the IRGC had used in the January 2028 Donald Cook engagement. A 280-kilometer waypoint path that kept both missiles below the radar horizon of every U.S. Navy vessel in the northern Arabian Sea for the first 23 minutes of flight. The Matthew Perry had no radar. The Cole's SPY-1DV, 88 nautical miles northwest, had a detection horizon against sea-skimming targets of approximately 30 nautical miles in the direction of the Abu Musa shadow bearing. The missiles would emerge from the shadow at approximately 31 nautical miles from the Matthew Perry and 102 nautical miles from the Cole. At 3:31:09, 5 seconds after the Soumar-M launch, 10 Peykaap-III fast attack craft left their concealed anchorage in the lee of a commercial vessel cluster, 44 nautical miles northeast of the Matthew Perry's projected position, and accelerated to 42 knots on a direct approach bearing. The Peykaap boats were not carrying Nasr-1 anti-ship missiles on this operation. They were carrying 122mm unguided rockets in launcher banks, each boat carrying a 40-round bank, 400 rounds total across 10 vessels, and 23mm cannon. Against an undefended cargo ship with no phalanx, no ram, no CIWS, and no countermeasures, unguided rockets at close range were sufficient. The Nasr-1 was a weapon designed to penetrate a defended warship's engagement envelope. The Matthew Perry had no engagement envelope. The Peykaap boats did not need precision missiles. They needed volume of fire. The Cole's SPY-1DV detected the Soumar-M contacts at 3:54:17, 23 minutes after launch, as the missiles emerged from the Abu Musa radar shadow at 31.4 nautical miles from the Matthew Perry's current position. 2 contacts, bearing 029 degrees, sea skimming at 12 meters altitude, Mach 0.72. The Cole's TAO classified them as anti-ship cruise missiles within 5 seconds. The Cole's commanding officer transmitted a flash warning to the Matthew Perry and to 5th Fleet simultaneously. He simultaneously ordered the Cole to maximum speed, 30 knots sustained, 32 knots sprint, and his crew to general quarters, and queried the engagement geometry. The Matthew Perry was 88 nautical miles southeast. The Soumar-M contacts were at 31 nautical miles from the Matthew Perry. At Mach 0.72, the Soumar-M was approximately 7 minutes from impact on the Matthew Perry. The Cole, at 32 knots sprint, would not reach the Matthew Perry's position for 165 minutes. There was no physical possibility of interposing the Cole between the Soumar-M and the Matthew Perry's hull. The Cole had one option available from 88 nautical miles: her Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles. Not to defend the Matthew Perry, Tomahawk is an offensive precision strike weapon, not a ship defense weapon. To strike the launch origin, she fired 4 Tomahawk rounds at 03:56:44 at the assessed Hormozgan province launch positions. They would arrive in approximately 44 minutes, long after the Soumar-M had already reached their target. On the Matthew Perry, the civilian master received the Cole's flash warning at 3:54:21. He had 7 minutes before impact on a ship with no defensive systems. He ordered his crew to emergency muster stations, the damage control billets that Military Sealift Command civilian crews train for fire, flooding, and collision. not for cruise missile impacts. He ordered the engineering watch to prepare the ship for emergency maneuver and increased speed to maximum. 22 knots, the Matthew Perry's top speed, inadequate to meaningfully change the impact geometry, but the only kinetic option available. He transmitted a mayday on Channel 16 to all vessels within range. He activated the ship's emergency position indicating radio beacon. He was a civilian mariner doing everything he could do with the tools available to a vessel with no weapons, on a ship that wasn't designed to be in the position it was in. The first Soumar-M impacted the USNS Matthew Perry at 3:57:44, approximately 26 minutes and 40 seconds after launch. The 400-kilogram semi-armor-piercing warhead struck the ship's starboard side, amidships at frame 228, approximately 2.4 meters above the waterline. The passive radar homing channel, having tracked the Matthew Perry's own navigation radar and AIS transponder to a terminal impact point. The warhead penetrated the outer hull plating, 12 millimeters of mild steel, not the hardened naval plate of a warship, and detonated in the cargo hold. The cargo hold at frame 228 contained 847 tons of general provisions and 312 tons of SM-6 reload canisters. The SM-6 reload canisters are shipping containers, sealed, inert, without the propellant or warhead installed. They did not initiate sympathetically. The warhead detonation in the hold produced a blast and fire that destroyed the cargo in the immediate vicinity, opened a hull breach approximately 4.1 meters by 2.8 meters at the impact point, and ignited a fire in the hold that the ship's automatic CO2 suppression system began attacking within 8 seconds. The second Soumar-M impacted 22 seconds later, striking the Matthew Perry's bridge superstructure at frame 264. The warhead detonated inside the bridge structure, destroying the navigation electronics, the communication suite, and the bridge deck itself. The blast killed the officer of the watch and 2 bridge watchstanders in the immediate detonation zone, 3 of the Matthew Perry's 123 civilian crew members. The ship's master, who had been on the bridge wing rather than inside the bridge at the moment of impact, was thrown against the bridge wing railing by the blast overpressure, sustaining a fractured left arm and lacerations, but remaining conscious. He was the senior surviving officer on the bridge. The Matthew Perry was now on fire in her cargo hold, flooded through a 4.1-meter hull breach at the waterline, and without a functioning navigation suite or communication system. She was still making 19 knots on her last ordered course. The engineering watch had received no new orders and continued driving the ship at maximum speed. The fire in hold 228 was being suppressed by the CO2 system. The flooding through the hull breach was being managed by the damage control team, who had the watertight doors in the adjacent frames closed within 90 seconds of the impact. The Matthew Perry was damaged severely. She was not sinking. Not yet. The Peykaap-III boats arrived at 4:03:19, 32 minutes after their departure from the commercial vessel cluster, having closed 44 nautical miles at 42 knots. 10 contacts emerged from the pre-dawn darkness at 2.1 nautical miles from the Matthew Perry's position, decelerating to 28 knots as they spread into a semicircular attack formation around the cargo ship's starboard side and bow. The Matthew Perry had no weapon to point at them. She had no CIWS. She had no ram. She had a crew of civilian mariners, a ship on fire, and a hull breach taking on water. The first Peykaap boat opened fire with its 122mm rocket bank at 4:03:44, 1.8 nautical miles from the Matthew Perry's hull. 40 rockets in a ripple sequence across 8 seconds. At one point, 8 nautical miles range against a 689-foot stationary target. The Matthew Perry's master had ordered all stop when the Peykaap contacts appeared on the one functioning radar repeater in the after-steering station. The rocket's CEP was approximately 80 meters. Of 40 rockets, 19 impacted the Matthew Perry's hull and superstructure. Each rocket carried a 2.8-kilogram warhead. 19 impacts. A cargo ship's hull is not hardened. Each impact produced a puncture through the outer plating, internal fragmentation, and in 3 cases secondary fires in the cargo areas penetrated. The Cole's commanding officer, 80 nautical miles northwest and closing at 32 knots, had his MH-60R Seahawk airborne at 035601, 38 seconds after receiving the Soumar-M contact report. The Seahawk, call sign Avenger 61, was flying at maximum airspeed toward the Matthew Perry's position. 145 knots, 80 nautical miles, approximately 33 minutes of flight time. It would arrive at 4:29. The Peykaap attack had begun at 4:03. The Seahawk would arrive 26 minutes after the Peykaap boats reached the Matthew Perry. 26 minutes in which the Matthew Perry had no external defensive support. 15 minutes into the Peykaap attack, from 4:03:44 to 4:18, all 10 Peykaap-III boats expended their 122mm rocket banks against the Matthew Perry and made repeated gun runs with their 23mm cannon at ranges between 400 and 900 meters. The Matthew Perry sustained 47 rocket impacts and an estimated 380 rounds of 23mm cannon fire across her hull, superstructure, and deck during those 15 minutes. 3 additional fires started on the main deck. The hull breach at frame 228 was joined by 2 additional penetrations at the waterline from rocket impacts. Both subsequently sealed by the damage control team before flooding became uncontrollable. 11 additional crew members were injured during the attack, 4 severely. The cargo hold fires suppressed by the CO2 system were reignited by rocket penetrations in 3 locations. The Matthew Perry was fighting for survival with no weapons, and a crew doing damage control under direct fire. The turning point was not the Seahawk. It was USS Cole's own forward MH-60R, a second helicopter the Cole launched at 4:11:22, call sign Avenger 62, with an NSM targeting package and a coordinate that the Cole's surface warfare officer had been updating in real time from the Peykaap AIS returns and radar tracks. The Cole's commanding officer had requested and received 7th Fleet authorization to engage the Peykaap boats with NSM at 4:08:17 under the self-defense provisions of the Standing Rules of Engagement for Defense of a Vessel under Direct Attack. 2 NSM rounds left the Cole at 4:13:44, targeted on the Peykaap cluster. Flight time to target, approximately 12 minutes. Avenger 61 arrived at 4:29:02, 26 minutes after the Peykaap attack began. By that time, 7 of the 10 Peykaap boats had already withdrawn, 4 having expended all ammunition and withdrawn under their standing orders, 3 having assessed the incoming air threat from Avenger 62's radar illumination and turned northeast at maximum speed. 3 Peykaap boats remained in the vicinity of the Matthew Perry, 2 still conducting gun runs, and 1 with a propulsion casualty, drifting 900 meters from the ship's port side. Avenger 61 engaged the 2 active boats with hellfire from 3.1 nautical miles. 2 rounds, 2 direct hits. Both boats rendered inoperable. The drifting boat was left as an EOD and personnel recovery task for the Cole's surface action team. The NSM rounds from the Cole impacted the 4 withdrawing Peykaap boats at 4:25:51 and 4:26:04. Both NSM rounds had targeted the densest cluster of withdrawing contacts. 1 boat struck directly at 4:25:51, the 125-kilogram warhead detonating through the hull amidships. 1 boat in the adjacent position caught the blast pattern from the first impact and sustained structural damage that left it dead in the water. 2 boats escaped. The Cole reached the Matthew Perry at 6:22. The cargo ship was still afloat. Her damage control team had kept her afloat through 5 hull breaches, 7 fires, and 47 rocket impacts using portable pumps, CO2 systems, and halon extinguishers. 3 crew members had lost their lives in the second Soumar-M bridge strike. 14 were injured with varying severity. The Matthew Perry's captain, right arm in a field splint, directing operations from the after steering station with a handheld radio, had kept his ship alive for 2 hours and 51 minutes without defensive weapons, without a functioning bridge, and under direct fire for 26 of those minutes. The Matthew Perry was taken under tow by the Cole at 7:14. She was redirected to the Naval Support Activity Bahrain for emergency repair assessment. The SM-6 reload canisters in hold 228 were assessed as destroyed by the Soumar-M warhead detonation. The replenishment at sea with Carrier Strike Group 8 was cancelled. The strike group's SM-6 reload schedule was delayed 14 days, while alternative logistics arrangements were established through Diego Garcia. The Cole's 4 Tomahawk rounds, which had been fired at the Hormozgan province launch positions at 035644, impacted their target areas at 044052 through 044109. 2 of 4 TEL positions were occupied at time of strike, both confirmed impacted. 1 position was empty. The 4th position had been the Soumar-M's second launcher, which had fired both its rounds and relocated under the standard post-launch protocol in the 11 minutes between launch and the Tomahawk's arrival. The IRGC's dispersal timeline had been calibrated against the Tomahawk's known flight time from the Arabian Sea. 7th Fleet authorized a follow-on strike against the Peykaap base at Keshem Island at 4:51. 6 Tomahawk Block 5 rounds from the Cole fired at 050219. The Keshem Pier facility, the fast boat maintenance structure, and the fuel distribution compound all sustained confirmed impacts between 5:46 and 5:47. Post-strike imagery showed 3 Peykaap-III boats that had returned to the pier sustaining blast damage. The pier itself was structurally compromised across its southern face. Here at Navy Legends, June 9, 2028, is the engagement that demonstrates the vulnerability that every logistics chain in a contested maritime environment carries by definition. The Matthew Perry was not a hard target. She was a soft target in a gap. 88 nautical miles wide, 178 minutes deep, created by an engineering casualty on her escort and an AIS track that was visible to anyone with a web browser. The IRGC didn't need to defeat an Aegis combat system to strike her. They needed to know where she was, how far her escort was, and how long the window lasted. All 3 were publicly available information. The Matthew Perry's crew did everything correctly. They executed their damage control procedures under direct fire, maintained hull integrity through 5 penetrations, and kept their ship afloat for 2 hours and 51 minutes without a single defensive weapon. The 3 crew members lost in the bridge strike, merchant mariners, not military personnel, who had accepted the elevated risk of Military Sealift Command service in a contested theater, are the human cost of a logistics doctrine that places unarmed vessels in threat environments that their defensive architecture was not designed to operate in. The Cole closed 88 nautical miles in 165 minutes and arrived to a ship that was damaged but salvageable. 14 days. That is how long the SM-6 reload delay cost Carrier Strike Group 8. 14 days during which the strike group's missile defense architecture operated at reduced depth in a theater where the adversary knew it. The IRGC planned for that window too. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.